Question number 12, Kris Faafoi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Building and Housing. Is he confident that all taxpayers' money allocated to his HomeStart roadshow is being spent appropriately?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr. Speaker, yes, on behalf of the Minister. The first HomeStart Roadshow meeting was held on the 15th of April in Henderson and the last on the 1st of October in Timaru. All 19 meetings were held in locations across the country, some even in Labour electorates.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question, Kris Faafoi.
Supplementary question, Mr. Speaker. Is it appropriate for National MP Parmjit Palmer to host or co-host a roadshow funded by taxpayers for the purpose of raising her, quote, local profile in Mount Roskill in case of a by-election? And if so, why?
Mr. Speaker.
Order. I want to hear the answer. The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Well, Mr. Speaker, no, it wouldn't be, and that's exactly why that didn't happen and she didn't do that. So to make it really clear, and I think it's only fair that it gets on the record, and it's a very short email, and I'd like to actually say the only email that I've seen that Parmjit has actually sent, it said, "Hi Jane, please can you check with Honourable Nick Smith's Office 3 KiwiSaver HomeStart Roadshow. I am keen to have one in Mount Roskill and can talk to Mongakeke and Epsom electorates to come together for this. We will need enough time to prepare and put up hoardings, etc. Thanks, Parmjit." That does not say anything about a by-election at all.
Question.
Order.
If there was nothing...
Order. I haven't called the mayor. Order. Supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If there was nothing wrong with that request made by Parmjit Palmer, why was the purpose of her request to raise her profile in Mount Roskill blacked out in 3 out of 4 occasions in documents released to me under the OIA?
Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Because, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
It is.
Honourable Paula Bennett.
Well, on behalf of the Minister, because quite simply that is not what the MP requested and that is not what the Minister did. If the member wants to pick on a public servant that has made a mistake, then he can go ahead and do that, because that's what's actually happened here, but he cannot start pointing the finger when it's very clear what the member actually asked for.
Point of order.
Order. Point of order. Order. Point of order, Kris Faafoi.
I seek leave to table an OA document which says Parmjit Palmer has also expressed a strong interest in hosting a roadshow to lift her local profile.
In view of the circumstances, I will put the leave. It'll be the House to decide. Leave is sought to table that particular email. Is there any objection? There is none. It can be tabled. Supplementary question. Order. Kris Faafoi, supplementary question.
Does he believe...
Order.
Good luck.
No. Order. Would the member please resume his seat? Now, the interjections now are far too frequent from my immediate right, and they will cease. Kris Faafoi,
supplementary question, Mr. Speaker. Does he believe it appropriate for a ministerial staffer in his office, funded by the taxpayer, to be working with National Party HQ to organise those roadshow meetings to raise the profile of National MPs, as is shown in those OIA documents?
Mr. Speaker, those documents actually don't say that. So let's get it clear. We've got a policy we're proud of. We've held 19 meetings throughout the country. We've got an MP who's doing a fantastic job locally, and we can afford to run a by-election. So things are going pretty well for us.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. Point of order, Kris Faafoi.
I seek leave to table a OIA response to me, which is from the Minister's office, which is pointing at instructions to members' offices, which says National HQ will provide...
The document's been described. I'll put the leave is sought to table that particular OIA. Is there any objection? There is none. It can be tabled.
What's your question, Mr. Speaker?
Order. Supplementary question, Kris Faafoi.
Supplementary question. Why did his department or his office black out those facts? The National HQ was working with his office to organise those meetings, or aren't they just a front, or weren't those meetings just a front for National Party campaigning on the taxpayer dollar?
First part of the question is okay.
Mr. Speaker,
the Honourable Paula Bennett.
Let's get clear on what these meetings actually are about. They're about a HomeStart that offers $435 million over 5 years to help around 90,000 New Zealanders into their first home. Launched on the 1st of April, this HomeStart grant offers up to $20,000 for new builds and up to $10,000 for existing properties. A fantastic policy that a lot of people want to come to meetings. Anyone else that wants to promote it, we'd love to hear from you.
Order. Point of order, Kris Faafoi.
I seek leave to table 3 letters sent from me to the Chief Ombudsman, to the State Services Commission and to the Officer of the Auditor General, asking for them to investigate the nature of those OIAs and the content of them.
Order.
No, you...
Order. 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 The purpose of tabling documents is to better inform the House. On this occasion, such information may be informative to members. I'll put the leave. Leave is sought to table those particular 3 letters. Is there any objection? There is objection. Order. Order. And that concludes questions for oral answer. I call on Government Order of the Day, number 1.